They're coming for us. Get them. Get them. They're coming in hot.
I got one.
Don't get cocky, kid.
But it's a Pod Bros podcast.
What do you mean it's a podcast? You haven't been shooting? They're all over the place.
Well, no, but they've got all sorts of good shows like Pencil and Ink Reviews and The Guy Huddle and Players vs. Podcasts. I mean, was I supposed to?
Yes. What? How many podcasts do they have?
There's tons. You got other ones like The Accidental Wrestling Fan and Take Aim Outdoors.
That kind of sounds like we should make podcasts, not war.
Aww.
What's up, everybody? I'm Richard.
And I'm Shawn.
And we're speaking the language of Star Wars. We're going to talk about Star Wars. It's bromance and Star Wars. I'm so excited.
Richard, take my hand, and we'll rule this galaxy.
I'm not taking your hand. You licked it.
Well, I'm wearing a glove. Richard, your movie came out. So
it did.
So we're gonna talk about it, right?
We're gonna talk about Star Wars.
If you haven't seen it yet, we'll give you when the spoiler will be. Like, we're gonna be spoiling the shit out of it. But
you know what? I like the fact that some people put out like a spoiler-free review and then they put a spoiler-filled review. But I
have a spoiler for that spoiler that I'll talk about in our spoiler piece.
I feel like when it comes to this movie, I don't see how you could do a spoiler-free review. I feel like it would be so generic, so homogenous.
Well, that's how all of them are. It's basically like, oh, it's a Star Wars movie.
But with this, especially, like, I can't see how you can review, like, give a good review of this movie and have it be spoiler-free.
Really, our spoiler-free is going to be like our experience. Like, whenever we've done these, we kind of talk about like our experience getting to the movie, what we were anticipating for it, or how we felt, and then we jump into spoilers.
Right. Okay, so my experience was pretty straightforward. This one, I will say, sadly, because I had other things going on, I was not able to sit in a line for hours on end, and I was very disappointed in myself. But I did drive past the theater on my way in between doing things.
Yeah, you got to see the massive line. You got to see the tents, all the people.
Line.
What?
I was upset. I was like, I was in the car by myself, but I was visibly upset. I know that if somebody drove past me and saw me in the car, I'd be like, why is he so mad? He looks mad.
You're like, when George Lucas ran this shit, this didn't happen.
Right? Oh, yeah. That one kind of chapped me. Kind of chapped my ass a little bit. Like, I get it. It's December. It's cold outside. But what the fuck, people? Get your shit together. But wait in a line. It's fun. It's an awesome time.
I mean, you went to a late movie, but the movie was packed, right? So even though there wasn't a big line, everybody filled in. All the seats were full. Like, you had to like buddy up with people.
Well, and I can kind of understand why, because the show I went to, this is a Thursday night. Not a lot of people knew that that they, would do shows the night before the release day. Because you see all the trailers and everything. It's December 15th. I went to a show at like 10:45 on the 14th. So no, my theater was not ideally full.
Really?
But good news is, got the seats I wanted.
That's good.
And only showed up like 20 minutes before. And got to sit exactly where I wanted to sit. I was happy. I was a happy man.
See, I don't buy the people not knowing it doesn't show on Thursday, because they've been doing that for probably the last 5 years, maybe at least.
That's true.
3.
That's true.
There's always been midnight releases, so people would go to the website and be like, "Oh my gosh, I want to see this at midnight." Wait, I can see it at 10 o'clock. I can see it at 6. I can see it at 7.
See, okay, so I will say that by the time, like, the screening I went to was the 6th one they had done that night.
Okay, I can kind of see maybe most of the people went to the early one, so that could be.
Yeah, I think when I looked online, it looked like the first 2 shows were sold out. Now, granted, I live in a fairly small town, so they sold out the first 2 shows, and I went to show number 6. So I mean, take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, so at my theater, when I got the tickets last week, I went to a 10:15 show, and that was the last one of the night. And it ended up getting sold out, and they actually added 2 more shows. I think they added like an 11 o'clock one. I think they added a midnight-ish one too.
Yeah. I remember when I went for episode 3, they had a midnight show, and it was 12:01. They had tickets for they did a 12:01 show. And I was like, oh shit. And then I went to go buy tickets, show was sold out, and I was like, god damn it. And this was, God, when did that come out?
Like 03, 04?
Yeah, that sounds right. Sounds like, I think 03. And so then I saw that they added a show. I swear to God, they added another theater, a show at 12:02. So just 1 minute later. So I got tickets for the 12:02 show. By the time the day had arrived, Shawn, they had a 12:01, a 12:02, a 12:03, and a 12:04.
So they got 4 prints? That's crazy.
And I think by the time, by the day of, I was waiting in line. The only ones that they had tickets left for was the 12:04. So the first 3 had sold out. And yeah.
But like I think you talked about before, like you said, it's like most of the people are going to the first 3. So you get the 12:04, you're first in line for the 12:04. You get the spot you want, you get to sit down and
well, see, and that's what I thought was kind of cool. Like say that, there's this massive line and you're like, oh shit, like I'm in the back, I'm like, in the last 2/3 of this massive line, but you might be first in line for your show.
Yeah.
You don't know. So I thought that was kind of cool. Well, that's anyway.
The theater. So I've always gone like the last 2. So Force Awakens and Rogue One. I went Saturday morning, which to me is awesome. You get up at like 8. You get to the theater by 8:30. Your show's at like 9:30. You get to see your movie. You're out by noon.
Yeah, that would be nice.
But for this one, I think the earliest on Saturday was like 6. So it was like later in the day. So I decided to go on Thursday night. 10:15 showing. So I get there at like 9. There's a line out the door. It's like 33 degrees, Richard, and the line is out the door.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so full lines. What sucks about this theater, too, is they did 2 lines, so there's a 10:15 and a 10:30.
Okay.
So the 10:15 line was out the door. The 10:30 wasn't. So if you go to the 10:30, you get to hang out inside where it's nice and warm.
Oh.
I mean, your movie's 15 minutes later, but you get to be inside.
Did you think about swapping tickets?
I went with a couple other people. If it was just me, I probably would have.
Yeah.
So the line out the door. First time I got to stay in line. I almost on Spotify played a Star Wars soundtrack. I thought about it but didn't.
You should have. You should have.
Yeah. If I was with a couple of different people or by myself,
you would. I think you would have been. I think you would have been okay.
Yeah,
like you wouldn't have been. I don't think that you would have been. People would have looked and been like, okay, that guy's a little bit too excited.
It's like Star Wars, though. Yeah.
They wouldn't have done. You wouldn't have gotten flack for it.
But there wasn't. There's a few people dressed up. So there's the people in front of us. It looked like a dad and like his, like tween daughters, like maybe teenage. They were all dressed up as
that's
Ray,
awesome.
which was awesome. So and as we were the show before ours let out, and it's kind of, I don't know, you could say like, oh, that's douchey, but these 2 like college age guys, they're wearing bathrobes and they had toy lightsabers hooked to them.
Aww.
And I was like, that's kind of cute. Like, that's a good idea. Like, I want to do that. Like, it's cheap and, you get to explain to the wife why you have to buy a fake Star Wars sword.
And why you're leaving the house in 33-degree weather with a bathrobe on.
But it was a line out the door. There's a couple of people chit-chatting about it. The girl in front of us, she kept kind of like trying to figure out like theories of who these people were, like who Snoke was, who's Rey's parents.
Yeah.
She was she was looking up articles, which I don't like. So I was kind of worried.
I went full, and I did this with the last one. I went a full 48-hour media blackout,
which is smart.
So no Facebook, no Twitter, nothing. I stayed away for 48 hours.
Yeah, and
I woke up Tuesday morning. I was like, okay, what's in effect?
Where's the hammer, kids? I gotta break my phone. Bam, 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 bam.
Where's your phones?
Don't ruin this movie for me. But so we're in a line. There's a lot of people. Not a lot of chit chat. Not a lot except for her.
Mhm.
And again, I was nervous she was going to be like, "Oh my gosh, like this article just released that says Rey is,
yeah.
this what nothing." I was going to be like, "Fuck, just shut up. Just don't ruin it for me." Because
I think if that would have happened, she probably would have gotten like mobbed.
I wouldn't have been happy. But I mean, that's the thing. It's like these last two movies. Like going into it, I really had no clue what this movie is about. I knew it was a Star Wars movie, and that was pretty much it.
Yes.
But so it was pretty, got good seats. We got in early because we're like, I don't know, maybe like 30th in line. So, big theater, so easy to get in. The coolest thing I saw, Richard. So,
okay.
You and I talk about this a lot. Like, we love when people dress up for these things.
Yes, very much.
So, these group of people come in, and there's a girl dressed as Rey. There's I think there's a couple of dressed as Rey. There's a guy dressed as Poe Dameron. And I think it was his girlfriend. She was in a wheelchair, and she dressed as BB-8.
Oh, that's nice.
So, and these were like college age kids, probably. So she had like the wheels were kind of in the BB-8 color. She was wearing like a stocking cap that was the BB-8 color. She had a BB-8, outfit. And like when she rolled in, she was kind of like shy about it. You could tell. And she was just trying to get to where she could sit, but her friends were like, no, like roll in front of everybody, like show this shit off.
Yeah.
And so she got about halfway down, and everybody in the theater's like, oh my God, and starts clapping because it was an awesome outfit.
That is cool.
And like I was at a spot where when she was sitting kind of catty corner from us, and when people are, get their seats or walking to get like drinks or go to the bathroom before the movie started, and everybody that walked by was like, oh my gosh, your costume's amazing. Which it was. It was a really cool idea and really, really cute.
Nice.
So that was kind of like the start of this whole thing for me. Is like, there's a lot of people dressed up, a lot of people are pumped and excited.
So you're getting the experience. See, I didn't really have much of the experience this time.
See, like all the other movies I've gone to since they've been Saturdays, I really haven't got that experience.
That's true. Yeah.
More of a,
so now you're getting like the full on, like waiting in line and people chit chatting about stuff, and you get in the theater. There's people in costumes.
You're getting to see like, girls who are like, that younger, like girls who probably loved Wonder Woman. You're getting to see all that excitement.
Yeah.
You're getting all the people who are nostalgic about it, the new, the old. And it was just really, really excited to get going. And you see stuff like that where the girl's dressed as BB-8 and you're sitting there and everybody's like, oh my God, like what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And, you get to experience that. So my experience in line and everything was pretty amazing.
Nice. That's so nice. I'm glad you had that. I really am.
Well, what I like about this too, because when we talked about Force Awakens a few years ago, I felt like I was late to the party for Star Wars.
Right.
So I've always kind of been like, I always hate to like tag on to things like that to be like, oh, well, I love Star
you felt
Wars
like
too.
It was a bandwagon and you didn't want to be the jumper on of the bandwagon.
And so I've always been really, really cautious about that. Because, I mean, it's just like anything. Like, you've loved Star Wars since you were 12. And I'm like, oh, I love Star Wars too.
12? 6.
But like you asked me, it's like, oh, when did you start loving Star Wars? I was like, oh, I was 28. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, poser. But I mean, it's like, Force Awakens really got me into Star Wars. So I've been reading the comics, getting really into it. So this is the first time where I've kind of been like, you feel like you've gotten your membership card. Kind of, yeah.
And like I said, like this time you got like the whole like full experience of it.
I did, yeah. So like I was, with this, trailers didn't really tell you anything. So I had no clue what this movie was about, but I was super excited to kind of figure out like, the main questions you have. Okay, who's Snoke? Who's Rey's parents? What's Luke going to do on this island? All these questions, like you're excited to get these things answered.
Right.
And so my anticipation was high and I wanted to have all these things answered. And here I am sitting there and love it. Each of Force Awakens and Rogue One, right when a long time ago in a galaxy far away comes up, everybody starts clapping. You're just like, oh, like this is what it's about. Like it is what it's about. And I guess at that point now, Richard, so we're both in this, and I texted you too, because we saw the movie about the same time.
We did. I didn't realize we went roughly at the same time, because you texted me a picture of your face like, I'm at the theater. And then I texted you, I was like, I'm going to the theater.
It's like we saw it together.
We're watching together.
I think we need to plan episode 9. We do watch it together.
Yeah, we do. See, here's the thing though, like with movie commentaries, and we figured this out with Big Trouble in Little China. I think what we need to do is we need to sit and watch it together first. Then we need to sit and watch, like immediately after we need to sit and watch it and then record that one. Because the first time we're both sitting there just kind of watching it, like, oh,
hey, watch this part; it's pretty good. But yeah, so we're both here. You see the long time ago in a galaxy far away, and boom, kicks into it.
Yep.
So now, everybody, unless you have anything else you want to add before your pre-viewing of this,
no, I guess well, you know what? Okay, so I will say before we get into spoiler territory, generally, I liked it, and I want to see it again. And I think other people should at least should definitely go see it. That's what I'll say in spoiler free territory. There's my general thing.
I'm in the same
I did
boat,
have some issues, and I'll get into that. But despite those, I still liked it.
I'm in the same boat. Like I've already got plans to see it 2 more times.
Hmm.
But so we'll put this marker in the show notes as well. But we're gonna start some spoilers, and so we're gonna warn you. So in 3, 2, 1. Spoilers.
Wah, wah, wah. Yeah. Bring on. Okay. All right. So let's start at the beginning. So the very beginning. See, now you walk into this movie, and one of the big criticisms, which I never agreed with when it came to The Force Awakens, one of the big criticisms is, oh, it was like A New Hope. Oh, the movie copied A New Hope. That was like a big criticism. I never bought that because, yeah, I mean, I agree. Yes, it was like A New Hope, but my thing is, so what? New Hope was a good movie. Yeah. Like, what's wrong with fucking doing something similar to a good movie?
Yeah, there's a lot of movies that do that.
I don't get what I never understood why that was why that was a mark against it. I didn't feel like it was exactly like A New Hope. I didn't feel like Force Awakens was exactly like A New Hope beat for beat, but it was close. It was, there was definitely similarities. And so saying that, I think that a lot of people expected this. They were like, oh, this is going to be like Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, I could see it. This is going to end in a super down,
right?
Depressing.
Oh, this is going to be like Empire Strikes Back. And you know what? Yeah, I could, I would say that there were bits and pieces that seemed that way, but this is not a rehash of Empire Strikes Back. This movie is not a rehash of Empire Strikes Back. If anything, I feel like this movie was kind of like if you took Empire and Return of the Jedi and truncated them and put them together.
Kinda, yeah, I could see
a little, and now I don't know what the fuck's gonna come next.
Well, yeah. So the only thing that I was kind of wishy-washy on in this was I don't feel like there was anything answered. Like I really felt like
that's okay. So I completely agree. You said at the top, you were like, we're gonna get all our questions answered. We're gonna find out who Snoke is. We're gonna find out who Rey's parents are. We're gonna find out like what Luke's been doing. We're gonna find out and guess what? Nothing. Nothing.
I kind of feel like you could almost go from I don't know what the episode 9 will be like, but it almost seems like you could skip 7 or I'm sorry, skip 8 and go right to 9, depending on how they do it. Like you could read the cliff notes on 8 and then go right into 9.
Yeah, kind of.
Which that was, I know. So this is jumping to the end of the movie, but whenever I saw Force Awakens, the 2 times I saw it, everybody clapped at the beginning, super excited for it. And at the end, when they rolled the credits, everybody clapped.
Yeah.
This one, I've only seen it once so far. I'm going to see it a couple more times. But I have, as you know, Richard, I have a small bladder. And I drank a lot of soda while watching this. And it's a longer movie. So right when the credits...
It is. It's like, what, 2 hours, 32
like
minutes?
Yeah, it's long. But as the credits roll, I'm like, I got to pee. And as I'm walking down and turn on the first one out, and I'm expecting to hear clapping as I'm leaving, I didn't hear a peep. Nobody clapped. Nobody seemed excited. And as I was waiting in the hallway or the lobby, it seemed like a lot of people are more wishy-washy on it. And I think it's because a lot of people are expecting to figure out who Snoke was and to figure out whose Rey's parents were. And both those things you don't find out.
Well, or did you?
Well,
I mean, obviously with the Snoke thing, no. You like that, you get nothing. You get nothing on that. When and okay, so far I think that this movie, above all the other movies, I think this one is going to be the one that's the most divisive. I think this movie is going to be the one that's going to get, you're going to get a lot more people with mixed reactions to it.
Yeah, I can buy that.
I would be very interested in watching two people of opposing views review this movie, because I think you're going to get a lot of that, a lot of people talking about things. Okay, so like you said, big questions. Who is Snoke? Where is he from? What's he do? Like, how did he get where he is?
Like, how is he
you
Jedi?
Get nothing on that.
Yeah, how is he force sensitive? Nothing.
You get nothing, and also very short-lived character.
Yes, he is. Which,
very short.
To me, that was the other thing. It's kind of like, if this is Supreme Leader Snoke, like, this is a guy that from episode 7, they were selling you like, oh, this guy's super important.
He's the big bad.
Yeah, he somehow tricked Kylo Ren into going to the dark side. He fucked up, Ben Solo, and he doesn't know that next to him a lightsaber is slowly starting to turn his way. Can't see that. He can.
Nope.
He can put
Apparently
things into Rey and Kylo Ren's head.
He can apparently connect them.
Yeah.
With like some sort of weird mind meld, which I liked.
Yeah,
I liked
cool.
I liked the device of that, but like, he can do that, but he can't fucking just turn your head.
Yeah. Well, you can hear it. It's on.
Just
like
look to your right and go, hey, what's that doing?
I mean, it's going to make a sound. It's going to bounce.
Okay, so the question of the other thing you were wanting, the question of Rey's parentage. Okay, I've seen people that are mad. They're angry about this, and also like not believing it. So some people are mad about about him about them kind of saying that her parents weren't anybody special. They were junkers that sold her off, like for beer money or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Okay. So some people are mad about that. And other people are saying that, oh, they were just lying. Like, that's not really what it is.
Well,
it's probably something else.
Well, and the third part of it, too, is like, it's true and people like it. Because if that's the case, like, I kind of like the idea that they're breaking away from this, like, Skywalker. Because, I mean, you look at all the Star Wars stuff, it's Skywalker based,
Right.
But with,
the all three, well, technically, I mean, really, the first 6 movies,
first 6
it's about it's about one family.
Yeah.
All 6 of those movies are about one family. It's about a dad, his 2 kids, his wife, about a dad and his wife and his 2 kids.
Basically,
that's what all 6 of those movies are centered around those 4 people.
Well, and the thing too, so, well, I guess if it's true that her parents were nobodies, because Anakin technically doesn't have a dad, right? Like his
right. Apparently, I mean, from the way it's told, is that he was like he was Star Wars Jesus.
Yeah,
he just shows up. He's
Virgin. What's his mom's name? Do you know? Do you remember?
Shmi.
Virgin Smee.
Yeah, Shmi Skywalker.
Virgin Smee got Skywalker.
Yeah.
But I love the idea. So like because I mean, he even kind of says it's like, your parents are nobody. And this line was very poetic to me. It's like, you don't fit into this story, but here you are, kind of thing.
Right. And that's why I don't get what all the vitriol's about. Because, okay, so her parents, let's say it's true, which, I mean, there's nothing so far to contradict that. So let's say it's true. Let's say her parents weren't really anybody special. They were just, some shitty people that sold their kid off to some junk dealer in the middle of a fucking shit planet. Like, so what? Why can't greatness come from nowhere?
Well, I mean, that's what happened with Luke, with Anakin, technically.
Yeah.
I mean, he came from a shitty planet. I mean, yeah, there's the Jedi Jesus type thing, but he was a nobody. And
yeah, why can't what's wrong with that? What's wrong with saying that, that the mystery of the Force can come from anybody? Why does it have to be, oh, she's the son of, or she's the daughter of, Skywalker, or the daughter of Kenobi, or the daughter of
Han Solo?
Like Han Solo. Like, why can't she just be like a girl that just has these powers and doesn't understand them? What's wrong with that?
I'm okay with that if that's the case.
I'm totally okay with that.
Like I said, there's something kind of poetic about it, because you have Kylo Ren, who kind of comes from this lineage of Jedi, and then now you have Rey, who's like just a nobody that the Force has somehow gotten to her.
Exactly. It's basically saying that I think that it's saying that greatness can come from anywhere.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very beautiful poetic type thing.
And I think that is also given at the very end of the movie, the last like 30 seconds of the movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where you have the kids are playing, and like, they're playing with like these toys and like, oh, it's Luke Skywalker, blah, 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 blah. And then one of the kids walks outside, holds his hand out, and the broom floats to his hand.
Super subtle. But and I think the way, like, people who are already at this point, like, kind of like annoyed with this movie, they're like, oh, of course, this kid's a fucking Jedi too, right? But to me, it's like, no, that's what it is. It's,
I think that's emphasizing the point of like Rey. It's saying that like this could come from anywhere. It could come from anything. It could come from anybody. It's saying that anybody can be. You don't have to have you don't have to have a fucking last name to be special.
Yeah, it's the Force just finds you, and you find the way. And like the kid had the rebel ring, so he's like part of the rebel scum. And super pumped to be a part of that. And once he figures out Force lightning, he might go to the dark side, whatever. He kind of seemed like a little dick of a kid, but because he was doing a half-assed job sweeping. I don't know if you noticed that. I did.
I was. He was outside sweeping dirt. I'm like, the whole planet's fucking dirt, kid. Knock it off.
Those horse dog things are no longer there. Why he's sweeping? But I thought that was kind of a cute, like, into it. I won't even say cute, just kind of a, like, fulfilling the hope. Because at this point, like, the rebels have, like, a dozen people.
Yeah, that was the impression I got. Like by the end of the movie, they're all on the Millennium Falcon. I'm like, is this it? I'm like, is this all that's left? Like the whole Rebel Alliance is boiled down to like these 12 people flying around in one junky spaceship.
Don't tell me the odds, because they're not good.
That's what we're down to. We're down to this. Okay. So like we said, all the big questions that you had in this movie, you either you don't get the answer you expected, definitely, or you don't get any answers at all. Like in the case of Snoke, you get nothing.
Yeah.
And in the case of Rey, you get something that you didn't expect and some people don't like. I mean, and I don't and I argue against that. I think I was totally fine with that.
I mean, if you had to ask me, like, okay, what disappointed you in the movie, it'd definitely go back to Snoke, because in 7, it was like this thing, like this guy is a huge like character in this like series of stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of like a wasted opportunity because you have Snoke, you have Andy Serkis playing this guy, like a great fucking actor. Well, and they show really early that he's a very strong Force user. Like Rey shows up and she's trying to do some stuff with the lightsaber, and he's like, nope, and smacks her on the head with it. It's like, listen, I am like elite level Force user. Right. And he like he's, like Hux is in a different ship and Snoke's fucking tossing him around his own bridge.
At the very beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah, then you just get the quick, like, Kylo Ren, shooting the lightsaber through his belly. So I mean, and he looked dead. Yeah, he was dead. Yeah, he got Darth Mauled. That's what happened. Yeah, good call. And
that's what happened. He got Darth Mauled because it was like this character that you're like, who the fuck is this guy? I want to know more about him. Guess what? Cut in half. You don't know shit.
Yep.
You're not gonna learn shit. Nothing. That's what you get. So I mean, I was disappointed is kind of a strong word, but I felt like that was kind of a missed opportunity because I felt like you could have done a lot more with Snoke.
I agree. I completely agree.
Okay, so let's you know what, I'm gonna start off with what I didn't like. I'm gonna start off with because I want to end on a high. Because like I said at the beginning or in the first few minutes, end of the day, I did like this movie. I really did.
I'm in the same boat. Like, so just to kind of touch on when we left, a lot of people nobody clapped at the end like in previous movies. I rushed to the bathroom because my small bladder.
Right.
And as I'm coming up to the group I went with, like, I had a pretty big smile on my face. Like, they made note of that. Like, you know, it's like, well, what'd you think? I'm like, I dug it. Like, I thought it was good.
Yeah.
And all of them, the three guys I went with, are kind of like, I mean, I didn't really care for it. I didn't really like it.
Yeah. I mean, but I mean, the people that don't, I think I can understand why they wouldn't.
I can too. Yeah.
So my biggest issue, and this will probably be yours too, because I mean we haven't talked about it, but I'm sure this is probably yours too. What the fuck was Finn doing this whole movie?
Yeah, I was kind of confused with that too.
Because at the end of the day, what the fuck did Finn really do?
Yeah, there's the whole side storyline of Finn and Plasma, which, you know, is it Plasma or Phasma?
Phasma.
Phasma. Like, you're expecting like this, like you saw in the trailer, this huge battle between those two.
Right.
And that was a big complaint of the Force Awakens, is people are like, they didn't use her very well. And like,
no, they didn't.
Don't worry about it. Episode 8, all over the place.
But I'm saying, like, the end of the day, what the fuck did he do?
Well,
it's like he's with the rebels, then him and this other character Rose, which I felt like Rose was a completely shoehorned in character.
I'd agree.
Like, they're like, oh, we're gonna go sneak onto this ship and we're gonna disable the tracking device so everybody can get away. I'm like, okay, that's cool. That sounds great. Sounds like a good plan. Oh, we got to go to this casino planet to find this code breaker to get us on the ship. I'm like, okay, like I'm with them so far. So they go to the casino planet, and interweaving that story with the story with Rey and Luke and everybody else that's in this convoy that's getting blasted. Like, if you want to tell me what I did not care about, it was fucking Finn and Rose on this goddamn casino planet.
Well, what sucks too is Poe kind of falls into that too. Like, the whole thing with Poe seemed very confusing because, you know, they're trying to get away from the First Order, and Poe and these guys are working on this plan. It's like, we're gonna sneak in, disable their device, we'll jump to hyperdrive, we'll be great. And then there's this like whole thing of like, no, Poe, you're wrong. They stun him. And it just felt like they're trying to say something about Poe's decision making. Okay, yes, they were, but I felt like Poe's character went on a journey. Poe had one, you know, way of thinking, and by the end of the movie, he had gone somewhere. He had gone from a place to a place as a character. He'd gone on a journey. He'd gone from being brash and impulsive to being more, you know, mindful, to being more measured and cautionary. Yeah, but the plan to get on there to disable that device, that was a good plan if it worked. It was. No, that's what I'm saying. It was a fine plan. So let's go through Finn's storyline in this movie. Finn goes to this casino planet. They find a code breaker. They get on the ship. They don't disable the tracking device, and he has a fight with Phasma, because ultimately it doesn't matter whether they disable the fucking tracking device or not, at that point, because they just ran a ship through the fucking thing. Well, that was so the reason she did that is because they started firing on the right, but I'm saying that Finn had no impact on anything. Well, if they disabled the device, then they could have got away. But he didn't.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying by the end of the movie, Finn had done nothing of consequence or substance. Finn, you could have left him out of the movie completely and nothing would have changed.
It actually, no, if you left him out, if he didn't do what he did, those transport ships probably would have got away, because it was them being on the First Order ship that the Del Toro character,
true.
The Codebreaker, sold him out.
So, at the end of the day, he kind of fucked him up.
He did.
He kind of fucked him over.
And the other thing with Finn, like, I love Finn's character. Like, I love the idea of
I do. I like his character. I like the fact that, he kind of plays somebody that's scared shitless all the time, but is fighting the First Order anyway. And I think that's a cool arc.
But the only shitty thing, or not shitty, but the only thing I don't like about it is, he basically cleaned up toilets. And then first day, as a stormtrooper, he sees some bad stuff happen. He's like, oh, well, this makes me sad. And now, like, in this one, he's fighting Phasma one-on-one and dominating. And it's like he has really no training to do that. And this is Captain Phasma as a character, again, kind of like Boba Fett, who they just don't utilize up to there's so much potential there. And it's like, oh, well, you die in a fiery crash because the ship's falling apart.
Right. Okay. So like I said, so and in terms of an emotional journey, like Finn doesn't go anywhere. Like I don't see, I didn't really see a change in Finn's character.
I mean, he kind of, the only thing he really had is, so he was going to go on a suicide kamikaze mission to blow up that big gun they had to break down the wall on that planet. And when his girlfriend Rose stopped him, I think she kind of said the thing of like, listen, the way we're going to win this war is not by fighting the things we hate, but saving the ones we love. And I think that kind of changed his mind. It kind of like with Poe is like, you going on these suicide missions isn't going to be what does it. Like, killing the things you hate isn't going to save us. It's going to be saving the ones you love, which I thought was kind of poetic to an extent too. But it's like, it's one of those things, like, if he sacrificed himself and blew up that ship, I was like, what are you doing, Rose? Like, he probably could have stopped that door from getting broken down.
No, yeah.
And then
okay, so another just odd point, but I feel like it's something that should be said. This movie did a great job of putting everyone in peril.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
I when Finn was going towards that cannon, I was like, holy shit, he might die. Like, I didn't feel like, oh, they're gonna save him for the next movie. Like, I didn't have that feeling. Like, I felt like all the characters, I felt like all of them were genuinely in peril.
Yeah, at the beginning, Poe, like with his thing, I was like, oh shit, they could kill Poe here.
Yeah.
Finn was in the same boat.
Leia, Luke.
Yeah.
Like, they were like, I felt like they were all when the character was in trouble, I honestly felt like they were in trouble. I wasn't meta thinking, oh, they're going to save this character because that one's going to be in the next movie. This one's going to be in the next movie. I genuinely felt like the character, and so that made the tension real.
Yeah,
which I liked.
So what are your thoughts on, so unfortunately we know what happened to Carrie Fisher. She passed away in December.
Yeah.
December of last year. So we know she's got a character right now, and it's like, well, what are they going to do with this character? They had an opportunity with Kylo Ren destroying the ship to kind of...
They had an ample opportunity.
Yes. So I want to know, what are your thoughts on her using the Force, I'm guessing, to pull herself back into the ship?
I don't know, because I get the impression that was the plan all along. Like, that was what I felt like her story as a character didn't change because the actress died. That's the feeling that I got by the time the movie was over. Like, they didn't change, they didn't alter what happens to her character because of real life events. That's the way I kind of perceived it. That being said, I think that I was ready to accept it. Like, the bridge of this ship blows up and she's dead in space.
Well, they kind of sold you that in the trailer. Like, I think anybody coming to this movie was mentally prepared to see that happen.
Right.
That was Kylo Ren's last moment of going to the dark side.
And Kylo wasn't the one that fired.
No, he didn't. Yeah.
He didn't. He had a shot and he didn't take it, which I thought was realist. I thought that was, true to that character. Then his escorts, his fighter escorts are the ones that did it.
Yeah.
And like, okay, and yeah, like I was ready to accept it. When she floats back in, I was kind of mixed. I had mixed emotions because part of me was like, oh, like, you didn't really need to do that.
Well, I wonder,
you could have had it and that it would have been done and like it would have been fine and I would have accepted it. The other part of me was like, oh my God, I finally get to, like, of course Leia, Leia's fucking Anakin Skywalker's daughter. Like, yay, she, like, she has powers. Cool.
well, they mentioned that in
And
episode 3, don't they?
You finally get to see her use them, and that's cool. Like I was like, oh, she's using force powers. But then so that's where I was mixed. I was happy that they acknowledged the fact that she actually does have some sort of ability with the force, but at the same time I'm like, you could have stopped. You could have stopped it there and I would have accepted it and I would have moved on. And now I'm going like, what? Like, what? Now what?
Yeah, because
what do you do?
Well, and the thing they said too is they're not going to use anything that they've shot previously. They're not going to CGI her, so she's not in episode 9, right?
Right. As far as the way I understand it, I didn't think so. I heard that they had scenes that they were gonna put in 9, but now I don't think that's the case. I think that there's nothing else is the way I understand it. The way I originally heard it was they took some of her scenes from 8 so that they could put them in 9 and that way she'd be in all 3. But now I guess that they're not doing that.
Okay.
So now it's done.
So they're going to probably have some story filling of like, she passed away after they'd left or something like that.
Something like that. Which, yeah, I mean, I don't know. That one I was kind of on the fence about. I liked her care. I liked her performance in the movie. I thought her performance was great in the movie. She meets Luke, and that one had me well up. I welled up.
Yeah. So you told me.
I will say, okay, so yeah, because I did text you this. I said I did cry. I cried at one point. Like I welled up at one point. I welled up, but the tears weren't there. But I did like cry at one point. What point was in the movie do you think it was?
Well, you said there was one moment, and there's multiples I could think of. So I thought like when Luke goes to the Force, when they meet, when Luke kisses Leia on the head. I thought maybe like when Leia was on screen, one of those moments. I thought there was one other.
You got to pick one.
I'd probably say honestly, what I thought last night was when Luke went to the Force.
No, that was not it. It was not the moment that had me crying.
So it'd probably be the Luke and Leia moment.
No,
really,
that was not it either. The moment that I fucking lost it was when Luke goes on to the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, really?
And he's walking around. He sees the gold dice hanging from the thing, and he's walking around. Now I was okay then, but then he sits down. He's not on the bridge. He's sitting down. He's inside the ship, and R2 wakes up.
Oh,
and he's talking to R2. And he's like, oh, R2. And like, you get that like nice reunion. I was like, oh, that's nice.
Well, and that seemed like genuine, like, oh my God, one of my truest friends in the world.
Right. But he's still kind of like curmudgeon-y.
Yeah. Well, it seemed to lessen. I would say it seemed to come down a little bit. Like you saw Luke from the original 3.
Yeah. So when it comes to Luke's character in general, I thought Luke as a character, he was a curmudgeon-y old man.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like beat over the head. He didn't beat you over the head with it in terms of performance. Like I felt like he was still Luke. Like you still saw he was that character, albeit a bit older and, with some emotional scarring. but he was there, and you totally got it. But anyway, so he's sitting in the ship and he's talking to R2, and he's like, why should I even bother like going back? Like what do I have? And R2 fucking plays the original fucking message from Leia on Tatooine. That's when I fucking lost. Dude, I'm thinking about it and I'm getting emotional about it. As soon as he's like, why should I do it? And then he projects, and as soon as I see it, I was like, oh, my hands like went up to my face. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Like, that's a cheap trick, R2.
You know what? Okay. So he says that. He says, oh, that was a cheap move. But okay. So another criticism that, because I went with my kids, I went with my wife, and I went with my uncle. My uncle came with me. And one of the complaints he had, he was like, they had these like really sweet emotional moments that I felt like they undercut with humor. Like that moment.
Yeah.
He says that line, and I felt like he was right to a point. Like, yeah, you could have done without it. You didn't really need that in there. But honestly, at that point, I wasn't paying in that scene in particular, I wasn't paying attention to his one-liner because I was looking at Leia going, oh my God.
Well, I think so.
He's playing the message from 5 movies ago.
So I know, so I think in Force Awakens, I had mentioned that I had some issues with a lot of the humor. And like you had mentioned, it's like, well, there's always been like, a lot of little funny moments throughout Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went back and watched the original 3, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess you're right. So going into this, I thought there was too many laughs. Like there was too many kind of moments that were like, oh, we're kind of putting a shtick in here. We're doing a bit.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it wasn't the humor. The humor that got put in the movie wasn't. It felt like there were moments that you didn't need it.
Yeah,
like that one-liner, for example. Like you didn't need that.
One after the moment where he shows up and Kylo Ren fires all over him and he kind of does the brush of his shoulder.
That I like. That one had me. I laughed out loud.
No, I laughed, but it's kind of like when you look back, it's like, well, that's kind of like over the top. The Chewbacca stuff.
I don't know. I was happy with that one. I can't off the top of my head. I can't think of. I mean, there isn't like one like glaring example. Maybe the one I mentioned earlier, but like that moment in particular, that one I did laugh.
Yeah,
like out loud.
No,
I laughed. I laughed loudly.
The Chewbacca stuff with the what do they call the little pogs? The pogs.
Porgs.
Though that was kind of like not really needed. I felt like Chewbacca could have had more to play in this.
I that one I would agree with. Chewbacca I felt like was completely underutilized as a character. That one, okay, so Chewbacca with the Porgs kind of reminds me a lot of Chewbacca with the Ewoks.
Okay, yeah, I could
in
see that.
Jedi, where like they're kind of annoying to him, but he's like, whatever, they're here. Fuck it. So I mean, but I agree. He was kind of an underutilized character. He was, considering like he's one of the original characters. You could have put him in there a lot more.
But that one of the other things I thought about with this movie, so like you talking about Chewie, is I really felt like this was a movie where they're saying, okay, well, we're kind of going out with the old and going into the new.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
You kind of got in the first one. So I kind of feel like this just was an extended part of that because, now Luke, he does his whole thing with projecting himself on this planet and fighting Kylo Ren as a, force ghost to an extent.
No, it was a force projection.
Force projection across
force
planets.
Projection. Oh, that was fun. Like, I thought that was awesome. And it wasn't until after that I realized it, but you like, they played it that way. And it's one of those, it was like an Ocean's 11 moment where it's after it happens or after you see the twist, then you're like, oh, that's why blah, blah, blah. And that's why blah, blah, blah. That's why, 20 walkers shoot laser guns at him. and he walks out of it. That's why. And I noticed. It wasn't until after that I noticed he doesn't leave footprints.
Oh, I need to look at that. I didn't notice that.
Yes, if you watch when he's like
good.
when he's fighting Ren and when he's walking, he's not leaving footprints in the sand.
That's awesome. I need
But
to look at
Kylo does.
Yeah. No,
like when Kylo's running and walking, you see like red footprints that he's leaving behind, and Luke doesn't have that.
That's a really good call. That makes sense now. Why, like when he does, like the guy first steps out and uses the binoculars, and the guy looks at it, it's like, oh, this is salt. Like, that's a good callback.
Yeah.
So again, like I didn't really think he was a projection at that point. I thought he was actually there. And
yes,
after all the shit shot at him, and he comes walking out and like flicks his thing. First thought, I wanted to say it out loud so bad, was like, "Don't fuck with the Jedi Master, son." Which maybe when I go Thursday, I might throw that out there.
Yes. You need to say that at some point, and you need to. I don't know. I need to see that on YouTube. Okay, so let's talk about Luke. Let's talk about Luke, like him in the movie. Okay, I thought Luke's performance, Mark Hamill's performance, I thought this was probably Mark Hamill's best movie.
I loved it. I
loved Mark Hamill in this movie.
What I love the most too about this is the fact that when they're talking about, like, she's like, "No, you have to go. You have to come back to this." And when he's talking about the Jedi, he's like, "Oh, you know, like we're legendary people. You know, I'm the great Luke Skywalker. I've got a laser sword." And basically, he's like saying, like, the Jedi, like the whole Jedi idea is a big bullshit idea. Like, we're nothing greater than anybody else.
Right.
We're
because
just
he's saying,
here.
like, we got brought down by one guy.
Yeah.
Like, one guy brought down the entire Jedi Order with the help of my dad.
Yeah.
He's like, how great were they if one person could fucking dismantle them over the course of, you know, a few years?
And he was super humble too. So he's like, after we defeat him, like, I thought Luke Skywalker, could, you know, start up the Jedi school and do all this great things, and then I failed. I'm the one that created all this. Now,
I think if there's a running theme in this movie is about failure.
Yeah, I could see that.
And how you deal with failure. And you know, you want to say, oh, people that say, oh, this movie wants to be like Empire. That's kind of what I mean. Empire, without saying it, that's kind of what Empire was about too. It was about failure.
Yeah.
You know, Luke fails and gets his hand chopped off. Han fails and gets fucking frozen in carbonite. The rebellion fails and gets their base on Hoth blown up.
Well, I think
in this movie, I feel like, you know, like it's a lot about failure, but it's not really it's about how you deal with failure and how you handle it and how you use it to find a new path or use failure to grow.
Yeah.
You know, Luke ultimately fails as a teacher. He fails Ben Solo. He sees that, you know, Ben's turning, and for a split second, he's like, I can't, you know, for a split second, he's angry. It's like you walk in and your son has like taken one of your comic books and fucking ripped it to shit.
Yeah.
And for a moment, you're pissed.
And then I pull out my lightsaber. I'm like, oh, you've gone to the dark side. Yeah. You're like, oh, well, I can't strike him down. He's my son. And then he looks. He's like, oh shit, Dad's gonna kill me.
And then he tries to kill you first.
Like, no.
But I mean, it's not just, oh, I was pissed in that, I was mad at Ben in that moment, and that's why I'm a failure. Rey even says it. Rey's like, no, you didn't fail him. You didn't fail him as a teacher because he was turning away from you. You failed him as a teacher because you let him turn away from you. You could have brought him back.
Yeah. You didn't attempt to bring him back.
And she's like, I'm going to go try.
And that's
because I feel like I can.
And that's kind of happy-go-lucky. It's like, listen, my dad, Like, he was a bad dude. He killed a lot of people. Did you see Rogue One? It made like $1 billion. But I think that's, I mean, in that moment, like, you know, like, what the dark side can do if you're Luke Skywalker. And in that moment, you're like, oh, shit, like, I don't want this to happen again. Like,
Yeah.
planets were destroyed. Like, millions of people were killed. Like, I can stop this with one fell swoop of my lightsaber. And in that moment, he's like, well, shit, maybe I shouldn't do this. But, you know, like,
By then it was too late.
Yeah, like everything, Richard, comes down to communication. And that's the thing. Like, I love that line, too. Like, you talk about Ben Solo, Kylo Ren. It's like, you know, in that moment, he's like, I didn't see, a dark Sith. I saw a scared boy. And if you're on that edge of like, oh my God, like if my teacher, my uncle, my blood is willing to kill me in my sleep, like maybe the dark side isn't so bad.
Right.
And that was just the extra push to get him there.
But I loved Mark Hamill's performance.
I thought it was great.
I loved him as a character. I loved the fact that like you see like in Luke Skywalker in this movie, you see the culmination of how everything before him has made him who he is.
Yeah.
You get all that in his performance. You get the farm boy, you get the Jedi, or you get the farm boy, you get the, naive, wrong thinking person, you get the, the learned wise man. You get his entire, you understand every single choice he's made because of past events.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So how do you feel?
And also, when I say you see the farm boy in him, okay, let's put this out on Front Street right now, Shawn. If I told you that you were going to see a pair of teats in a Star Wars movie, I think you would have laughed me out of the room.
Yeah.
But guess what? There they were.
He's just like
whole pair of teats.
Made eye contact the whole time as he drinks it in front of Ray.
He
like,
did.
Yeah, I'm drinking this right now.
I felt like that was when I said the farm boy thing. I felt like that was his farm boy coming out right there. He was like squeeze, and he's like drinking. He's going, yep. Look at me. I pushed on that teat, and here it is. For a second, it looked kind of blue to me. I'm like, oh my God, is that where the blue milk comes from?
That's what I was thinking, yeah. Comes from these weird sea creatures. So we're in spoiler territory, obviously. So he goes in, he fights via projection, he fights Kylo Ren to give them time to get away.
Before you get there, Rey leaves and he's like, I'm gonna burn this motherfucker down because I'm over it.
Okay.
Who the fuck shows up, Shawn? Master Yoda.
Yes, he does.
Master Yoda shows up.
I put a big question mark to this because I saw him. I'm like, okay, this is kind of cute. It's a callback. It looked pretty much like the Yoda from the actual original, not the new one, the new prequel.
Okay, I had a point about that because he did not it looked different to me.
I agree.
I could tell it was CGI a little bit, but it did not look like Yoda from the previous, 6 movies. Like Yoda in Return of the Jedi looks far different from the Yoda you see in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, I thought it looked closer to,
especially in the face.
Yeah,
it was kind of like, I don't know if it was just like the cheeks were a bit rounder, smoother. I love the fact that you had Frank Oz doing the voice, but my thing is like, well, why don't you just Force Ghost the puppet? You did that in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, well, I thought it looked a lot closer to the puppet than CGI though. It still looks CGI-ish, but
it still looks CGI-ish. It didn't look like, it looked different.
Yeah, I'd agree there.
In the face.
So, how do you feel about him showing up when he did?
I was fine with it. I was really okay with it. I think he was imparting a lesson to Luke, and he probably couldn't do that before because Luke had cut himself off.
Good point. And Luke was going to go and burn down this special tree, and Yoda's the one that's like, nope, I'll do it.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'll do it.
Just a tree.
I'm a Super Saiyan fucking Goku this Pikachu this fucking tree.
The thing,
and he says, she has everything she needs.
Yes. Well, that's what he asked
because
me. So you've read the books, right? And he's like, well, I've skimmed through them. He's like, yeah, they're real page turners, aren't they? But so the one thing I noticed is at the end, as they're getting on the Millennial Falcon, were the books on there? Were the books on the Falcon? That's what I thought.
That's why Yoda said she has everything she needs from there anyway.
So
because she took the books before she left.
Okay. So she took the books, not Luke moved them on the Falcon before he burned it down.
No.
Okay.
No.
That makes more sense.
No, she took him before she left.
Okay.
And that's why and then Luke's like, I'm gonna burn this fucker down, and then Yoda's like, it's fine. Like, she's got everything she needs. Because she already fucking stole all the books.
I don't know if you know this, but she's got a little sneaky hand. She's like the Sticky Bandits.
Because I don't know if you know this, but like Yoda has a tendency to be a bit of a smartass.
Yeah. Oh, I did like his smartass.
A cryptic smartass. Where he's like, he says, she has everything she needs. He doesn't overtly say, because she already, there's no point, because I'll burn the fucker down. What's it matter? There's nothing in there.
Luke's like, oh my gosh, she's one with the Force. She's like, no, she has the textbook.
No, she's not one with the Force. She's one with your fucking property because she stole it.
So how do you feel about the end of this when we see Luke floating on the rock and then become one with the Force?
I was sad. I was sad. And that, like, it was kind of like Leia. Like, I kind of expected it. I was like, this is probably what's, like, Luke's probably gonna bite it. Like, you're going to see Force Ghost Luke in the next movie. But for this one, he's going to go away.
Do you think he will?
And so I knew it. I saw it. And I was like, okay. That happened. I'm okay. I'm all right with it.
What hurts you more, Han Solo or?
Probably Han. I think Han was more unexpected.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's
yeah. Han was more. It was more, sudden and unexpected. So that's why I think that one kind of hurt more. But this, I mean, I think it was because like I prepared myself for it at that, when it came to Luke. So I was like, okay. So that happened. All right. And it's honestly like in my head, I'm like, well, he's going to be a Force ghost in the next movie. So I'll still see him. He'll still be there. Okay. That's fine.
Especially since they brought in Yoda. It's like, okay, well, if they're going to bring in Yoda, we're going to see Luke.
Right. Exactly. I did like the fact that he just throws the lightsaber over, like the first scene of the movie. She hands him the lightsaber, and I'm like, okay, what's the fuck's he gonna say? And he just throws it over his shoulder and walks off. I'm like, all right, that kind of sets the tone. I'm like, okay, it's that kind of movie.
Luke doesn't give a fuck at this moment, which I mean, I like. It's that whole thing of like I've seen some shit, Ray. I just want to live on this island and die. That's it.
I completely agree.
So some of my other items like this, like Kylo Ren, I still think that's a super strong character.
You know what? As like in Force Awakens, I was like, he's kind of, I was like, he's kind of a whiny bitch. But in this movie, I really did feel like he was a conflicted character. Yeah. And it wasn't like this. He wasn't an emo whiny kid in this movie. Like there was real conflict, there was real struggle, and I felt like he played it. I felt like Adam Driver played it well, and he played it realistically. I felt like that's the performance that I want. I think I said this in the last one. I felt like he played the performance that I wish Hayden Christensen would have played.
Yeah, you mentioned that. I think on the Force Awakens.
But in the Force Awakens, you still kind of got a little bit of the.
Yeah, but this one, he's like, nope, gonna fucking kill Snoke, and I'm taking over. And then General Hux is like, what the fuck you doing? He's like, hey, guess what? I'm gonna choke your ass out, bitch.
Yeah.
I'm fucking the supreme leader now.
Yeah. Fire every single gun we have on that man.
You think you got him?
The
only other thought I had, too, with that, so like when the whole Kylo Ren Rey thing was going on, I had a thought in my head that Kylo Ren was going to go to the light side and Rey was going to go to the dark side.
I did that too. I totally did that too. And I don't know why. I don't know where that came from, but I was like, are they just going to flip fucking script on this?
Well, I mean,
like that would be
you look at it like, why is Kylo Ren to the dark side? Because of a misunderstanding with Luke. Like, he thought Luke was trying to kill him, and he was getting pulled to it. But, like, instantly, Rey, when she's, like, getting into all this stuff, like, he's like, Luke was talking to her. He's like, you went right to the dark side. Like, you didn't even hesitate.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, I'm like, oh, fuck. She wants, like, power. She wants to get revenge. You know, what's revenge? What's hatred? Hatred and stuff is the part of the dark side.
Yeah.
Rey, you're growing stronger.
I did like, I mean, I love that. The whole fight scene with the two of them together.
Was pretty good, yeah.
That was really awesome.
I feel like
Very,
she's a little
very
bit
nice.
too, like, powered for the experience she has. But, I mean, you saw that in the first, in Force Awakens, too, where she was going toe-to-toe with Kylo Ren.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So let's see. So
the only
first
things I have to kind of get the, you know, the poor me out of the way, I got a little bored in the middle with the casino part and stuff like that.
Yes, and I kind of brought that up right at the top by saying, like, I felt like, you know, it was like, I felt like that was all superfluous. I felt like that you didn't need any of that.
Yeah. Well, I feel like a lot of that too was they brought in a lot of new characters, and it was the whole idea of, like, all right, we're getting rid of the old and bringing in the new. Like, this is the new blood. We're getting rid of the old stuff. Like, this isn't your daddy's Star Wars. Like, you're gonna leave this one with your daddy crying, but now we're giving you your Star Wars.
Right.
And the big complaint, I think, when we left, like I said, people didn't clap, and a lot of people I talked to after were like, you know, I'm just kind of wishy-washy on it. And I think the reason that is because I think a lot of people went into this movie, like you said, they were expecting Empire Strikes Back. I think a lot of people are expecting their version of the I am your father. Like, they were expecting to go in this and have, like, that big shock, like where Rey and Kylo Ren are fighting, and Kylo's like, Rey, I am your father.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. I mean, I mean, who knows? But that may be that people were going in expecting. I think it's like you said. I think, you know, people were going in wanting answers to questions, and they didn't really get those, and so they were kind of like, meh.
So the other thing too, I thought, like, so the part where the First Order is following the rebellion, the rebels, basically. They're like, well, they're not in range of our cannons. I kind of felt like that was you know, just a way to write yourself out of a corner.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I mean, I think that's a way to put a ticking. It was kind of a written plot device to kind of put a ticking clock on things.
Because, I mean, if you're the First Order, it's like, all right, well, we're gonna go into light speed, you know, just a little ways back, and then fire on you. Or you know what they could do, Richard? They could just stop or slow down and let them get a little further away, and then shoot them down.
Yeah.
But those are all minor things. I mean, you're not going to have a 100% flawless movie.
No. And I wasn't expecting, like, a perfect movie. I was expecting, I don't know what I was expecting.
I mean, I'm happy with it.
But yeah, ultimately I was happy with it. I felt like there was a good balance between us. Finn's storyline aside, I think you could cut Finn's storyline out and have a more balanced. I think if I had one major complaint, I felt like the movie was imbalanced because I cared a lot about Rey and Luke. I cared a lot about
like Snoke and Kylo Ren.
About Snoke and Ren. I actually did care a lot about Poe and seeing the journey that his character took, that he was, you know, he thought one way at the beginning and he thinks a different way at the end because he sees what he's doing. But I think when you add in Finn stuff, I feel like it kind of threw the movie off balance a little bit in terms of story and just in terms of time, like, you know, 2.5 hours. Yeah. That's a fucking chunk of time. In terms of the balance between drama and action, I felt like that was okay. I felt like there was a good mix of drama and action in there. Fucking flying the Millennium Falcon around.
Yeah.
Like I was fucking into that. Cause and again, if you want to add, if like one of the key elements to Star Wars is that goddamn music.
Yes.
Fucking John Williams knocks that shit out of the park. That boy is batting fucking 300 because he is bout it. Like they're flying the Millennium. They're those little speeders are going along the sand, and all of a sudden you see the Falcon fly in and shooting down fighters, and then Kylo Ren's like, blow that fucking hunk of chunk out of the sky.
They hate that ship.
And so then Han and fucking Rey are flying the Falcon through that cave and shit, and that music is going.
You said Han.
Dude, that was my Return of the Jedi moment. If you want to ask me one of my favorite parts of Return of the Jedi has to be Lando flying the Millennium Falcon through the Death Star to blow it up, and that music's fucking going on. Dude, I was fucking dude. I'm thinking about it, and that had me pumped. They're flying through that cave, and the music's fucking playing. I was like, da-da, da-da, da-da. I was like, this is some good shit. That one had me. I was good. I was good there. I was happy. I was happy, man.
So the only other thing I was curious about, what do you think about the Codebreaker, Del Toro's character?
Again, it's part of that storyline that I didn't really care for.
Yeah.
I didn't really get it was another part of that storyline I didn't give a shit about.
It's one of those, like, it seemed like there's a lot of a character there, but they just didn't really do much with it.
Exactly. I felt like, and you could say that about the entire fucking plot line. It's like I said, I felt like Finn as a character, like there's a lot there's stuff you could do, I feel, but
well, the whole sticking point with that whole like arc there was, Del Toro's character's like, oh wow, yeah, this is a arms salesman's ship. It's like, oh look, he pulls up the schematics, like, oh, he's selling stuff to the First Order, and then the next thing he shows, like, oh, I guess he's selling stuff to the rebels too, huh? And it's that whole, like, I don't know if they're gonna pull this into any more of this stuff. It's that whole conflict of like, there's this thing sitting over top of this war making money, and it's selling goods to both sides.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's got to be a pretty, like, big realization. It's like, oh, these people you hate, they're selling stuff to both sides and making money.
Yeah.
So the only people benefiting from these wars are these profiteers.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I just didn't, I mean, if you like, I don't really have a good or bad opinion because I just didn't care, and maybe that makes it a bad opinion. I didn't care. I didn't care about his character. I didn't care about that whole subplot. Okay. So in terms of directing, Rian Johnson, like this was his baby, and I will okay, and let's take note of this. Rogue One, they filmed. Kathleen Kennedy, the head at Lucasfilm, she wasn't happy with the way that movie was going. Switched directors. Okay, the Han Solo movie again had a director switch, and you've heard about there were problems. Not really problems during filming, but there were issues that they wanted. That's why they switched directors and went back. Same thing with the Han Solo movie. They weren't happy with the direction that the directors at the time were going, so they switched directors. They got Ron Howard. So now Ron Howard's doing the Han Solo movie. But with this movie, you didn't hear shit.
Yeah.
You didn't hear about there were
reshoots or anything.
You didn't hear about reshoots. You didn't hear anything about script issues. You didn't hear shit. So as far as Lucasfilm, the studio was concerned, like Rian Johnson was the golden boy, and he still kind of is, because from what I understand, he's getting the opportunity to direct more of these.
He's doing the next trilogy, right?
He's doing the next. As far as I know, he's doing the next trilogy.
My understanding is those aren't episode trilogies; they're just a standalone trilogy. So basically, he's doing a Star Wars story as a trilogy. And they don't know what it's going to be yet, but like people are like, oh, it could be Yoda, it could be a Knights Republic, it could be a number of things, but it's not an episode. It's not episode 10, 11, 12.
So So all that being said, Rian Johnson is a director. I felt I was happy. I liked the movie he made. I liked the story he told. I thought some of the visuals were fucking stunning.
Oh, it was beautifully shot. Yeah.
So the scene where where that heavy cruiser goes into light speed, and you see that visual of it cutting.
Yes, that was
fucking
awesome.
Like cleaving ships in half. They suck all the sound out of that shot, and all you see is the visuals. I was like, holy, that's fucking amazing.
Thanks, Firefly.
Holy shit. I'm like that was the moment where I was like, I like this guy.
Yeah.
I like this guy as a director.
My thought on that
just based on that shot alone, I was like, that's fucking beautiful.
My whole thought on that scene is like, well, why don't they do that more often?
Right?
It seems like a pretty big, like, kill shot for those ships.
Right. Yeah.
But I know like a lot of people didn't seem excited out of my show when we went. I'm curious to see what the next couple are. But I was happy with it. I mean, I didn't hate it. Like there was, I liked, like I said, I think I liked Rogue One and Force Awakens better. But I was happy with this. I mean, I'm going to go see it
I think, honestly, I think I liked it more than Rogue One.
Oh, really?
For me.
Okay.
Yeah, and here's why. Is because if you ask me what my favorite moment is in Rogue One, obviously it's Vader fucking cleaving people in half at the end. If you ask me what my second favorite moment in Rogue One is, I kind of be like, oh, well, there's that one scene, maybe this other scene, I don't know. If you ask me what my second favorite moment in The Last Jedi was, I could tell you right off the bat.
I gotcha. Just more moments and
there's more. Yeah, I felt like there was more. Yeah, there was more moments in this movie than Rogue One for me. So if I was to put those three in order, I would say Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rogue One.
I get behind that.
And not to disparage, Rogue One's a great movie, but they're just like there were. I didn't cry watching Rogue One.
I thought you teared up when you saw Princess Leia.
No. I was surprised, but I didn't. Yeah, but this one, when Luke finally comes to Leia, that I kind of welled up a little bit. But yeah, when he's sitting on the Millennium Falcon and R2 plays that fucking message, that's why I had to hide tears from the kids. So they'd make fun of me.
Dad, what's wrong? Somebody's cutting onions in this theater. Well, Richard, I don't know if I have anything else to add to this movie. Do you have any Richard's closing thoughts?
I think I've said all that needed to be said. I think that I like this movie. I will definitely go see it again more than once. But if you're gonna ask what I think the most divisive movie is out of the whole series, I would say that this one is definitely the most divisive one. And I can see the argument from both sides. I can totally understand it. I liked it. I can understand why people didn't like it. But I think that this is going to be the movie that is going to this movie's definitely going to have people talking about.
Oh yeah.
That's hands down.
All right, well, let me do a little bit of housekeeping, Richard. So visit our website. We're at languageofbrones.com. Follow us on Twitter. We're at languageofbro. Email us at eatthebeaver@languageofbrones.com. Check out the LOB Army intelligence reports. Like us on Facebook. And go out and recruit somebody for the LOB Army by getting someone you know to subscribe on Apple Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify.
Yeah. And when you're on there, you do your best and try to maybe leave us a rating and a review. And that's all that we ask, because those ratings and reviews really, really, really helpful. And you don't think they are, but they are. And we love them, and we read all of them. We even like the ones we hate. We understand that this is probably the most divisive podcast, and I totally understand why you don't like it.
Richard, those reviews are the spark that light the flame of our podcasting.
Oh, nice. That's much more eloquent. Yeah, cut out what I just said and put that and add that instead.
And you can always find us as part of the Pod Bros Rebel Scum.
Yeah, the resistance cell of the podcast sites on the internet.
And if you want to fund our rebel battling against the Empire or the First Order, go to our Patreon accounts, www.patreon.com/languageofbromance. All right.
Let's get these fine people out of here.
All right. So nothing else before I close her out?
No. Let's wrap this.
All right. Well, that's all the bros we have for this show. I'm Shawn.
And I'm Richard.
And I say we eat the beaver. Richard, we are growing stronger.
Cried like a baby.